Welcome to this valuable lesson. This module is the most frequently asked questions for most non-technical chatbot developers or designers. For example, how to search or link data in your Google spreadsheet. After studying this module, you will understand how to set up or build your own Google Spreadsheet API without the need to use a third-party service provider, because you are yourself a Google Sheet API service provider. In this lecture, we will use Google Spreadsheet as a database and create a JSON API to search for matching data in your Google Spreadsheet and return a response to Chatbot. The first project is an API to search phone number. We want to find out whether there is a matching phone number in the Google spreadsheet or not. As you can see in this diagram, if the user enters a phone number that matches one of the numbers stored in column A of the Google Sheet, the API returns the message written in column B to the chatbot. Conversely, a fixed message written inside the code will be sent to the chatbot. To build and test this API, you first must prepare a Google spreadsheet as shown in the diagram. For the simplicity and ease of this project, the content of the spreadsheet are only 2 columns. The phone number in column A can be derived from Google Forms or copied from other spreadsheets. Of course, you can also directly enter your favorite number in the spreadsheet. For the convenience of explaining how this API is being put into action, we intentionally arrange the last 3 digits from 001 to 009 on the phone number. The content of the list in the column B is: if the user enters a phone number that matches any number in column A, the Chatbot user will receive the response content in column B. The response combination can be text, URL, or block URL in your chatbot. Next, we are going to start implementing the API. The first action is to open fresh scripts from your Google spreadsheet and generate this search form API, as shown in the diagram below. When a fresh or new script is opened, the following steps to create an API are the same as we did in the early unit. If you forgot about it, go back and to check it. Now, copy the source code -1 attached in this unit and paste it to these fresh scripts. Then we will quickly remind you of the main parameters that you need to check. First, check if the name of the getSheetByName as shown here is the same as the name of the particular sheet you want to search in the spreadsheet. Remember, the font's first letter P is a lowercase and must match the name of the sheet in the spreadsheet. Response is the name of the user attribute that replies your chatbot's answer, so that you need to add it to your chatbot text card. Now, deploy this API script as a web app by clicking the Publish button in the script toolbar. Copy and save the URL here for later use in your Chatfuel JSON API plugin. In order to enable the follow-up of two similar projects to be tested, we use 3 quick reply buttons on the Chatbot platform to execute individual projects. Of course, you can also organize only a block to handle this project on your own. It is all about your demands and convenience. The following diagram shows how to implement a flowchart on the Chatfuel Chatbot platform. On the right side of the 3 quick reply buttons, we use the member type as a user attribute to guide to separate blocks depending on the user's attribute. Of course, you can also directly write the name of the block to be directed on each quick reply button. Next, let's take a look at the real working condition on the Chatfuel platform. If you just want to do this project, you can skip the upcoming video demo and go ahead to the next phase to see how to organize the flowchart block of this API to search for a phone number. You can write the corresponding block to the quick reply button as shown in this QR button. When the user presses the VIP member button, the data on the button is stored in the member type user attribute. So you can use the member type attribute to determine which block the user will be redirected to. You need to design 3 times in total for 3 quick reply buttons in the same step. In reality, the following block flow planning is not so hard for developers or designers who are comfortable with the Chatfuel Chatbot platform. But we will try to summarize the main points for this single API. Use this Save User Input plugin to store the phone number entered by the user. So we assign the user attribute as phone-pw, as you can see in this example. Copy the URL generated in the scripts and paste it to the JSON API plugin input box. At the end of the URL, don't forget to add the following statements: question mark and phone-pw. Attaching this user attribute name to the JSON API URL is to inform the API script that the application program to activate the command is associated to the user mobile phone number. Because the API will store the result to the user attribute named response. So we need to add this response name as a user attribute within the text car to be ready to show user the response message. Next, we need to use the user attribute response to determine whether the response is correct or not and lead to separate blocks. If the response message is equal to the value as shown here, it indicates that the phone number entered by the user is not in our spreadsheet, so it should be directed to the member sign up block. Conversely, if the response information is not equal to this value as shown in the box, it indicates that the phone number entered by the user is correct and should be directed to the VIP member block. Remember that the value of this response must be exactly the same as the phrase you wrote next to the return instruction in this API program. Next, let's take a look at the real working condition on the Chatfuel platform. You can add the phone_pw user attribute here to repeat what user has just entered in this text car before sending this JSON API request. Remember to add the following statement at the end of URL. Now, press Test Request button to see if this JSON API is successfully connected to the API server or not. Add the response user attribute here to get an answer from the API server or script that you have created in the Google script. Lastly, determine whether the response is correct or not and lead to separate blocks.